Hello everyone, Douglas Ducote here. My new book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, is available now at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes. Please check it out. I had the opportunity to either write about my 4 combat tours and the horrors of war like everyone else does, or I chose to write about the humorous side of military service. So there are stories about things that I experienced in Operation Desert Storm and Operation Just Cause down in Panama and everything in between. The funny things that I went through and I lived through. The things that require basically a sixth sense of humor to get by. So this is a great gift for anyone that you know that's served in the United States military, as well as those that just like to read things that are funny. My whole purpose was to make you laugh. And if this book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, makes you laugh, then it was worth my time and effort in writing it. So please check it out. You can buy the book starting today at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes, and Barnes & Noble. Thank you and God bless. We are the people our parents warned us about. I love that part at the end of the little video clip promoting the book. Folks, good evening. Welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show. You had me a place you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. As you just saw, the book is out and available. Please check it out. Be a great present for the holidays coming up for any of your family or friends that serve the United States military. They can relate, I promise you, to what's in this book. And if you just like a good laugh, well, this should do it for you. And if not, you should check your pulse, because I just took the time to write about the things that I experienced and lived through throughout my military career that was funny. That's how I chose to write the book. So I hope that you will buy it and share it with your family and friends and so forth. Anyhow, quick update. We will not be doing the show on Thursday of this week because of Thanksgiving. We are in Thanksgiving week. And tomorrow I will start smoking turkeys, and can't wait for Thursday to start shoveling down some excellent food. At the end of tonight's show is going to be a video that I put together. Hope you will stay around to watch it. And it is our troops saying Happy Thanksgiving that are deployed throughout many different places across our globe right now. And some of them sharing what they're thankful for. And at this time of year, that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that our troops, not just our military troops, but our brothers and sisters in blue and law enforcement and our medical professions, our doctors, our nurses, all our first responders. There's so many people that don't get to take off on Thanksgiving or that are deployed somewhere in foreign countries and haven't seen their loved ones for quite some time. So at the end of the night's program, we'll go directly into that quick video with our troops sharing their thoughts with you on this Thanksgiving. Okay, let's dive right into tonight's show. I've got several interesting things to share with you. We're going to start with a Senate Republican wants to take legislative shot at New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani and his desire to arrest Israel's prime minister. That would be Senator Ted Budd, B-U-D-D, Republican of North Carolina, is introducing legislation that would halt some funding to cities that follow through on any international criminal court, the ICC, warrant to arrest or detain officials from North Atlantic Treaty Organization, aka NATO countries. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show you. And why is that popping up instead? That's the one I wanted to show you. The measure, called the American Allies Protection Act, is a direct response to Mamdani's doubling down on his vow to arrest Netanyahu. Last year, the ICC issued a warrant for the Israel Prime Minister's arrest that has been heavily scrutinized by lawmakers in the U.S. and abroad. Mamdani reiterated his desire to arrest the Prime Minister last week before meeting with President Donald Trump. He told local news station ABC7 that New York City was a city of international law that would uphold the court's arrest warrants, which accused the Israel Prime Minister of intentionally attacking civilians and using starvation as a method of warfare. Wow. I've said time and time again, I believe this is a city of international law. And being a city of international law means looking to uphold international law, he said. And that means upholding the warrants from the International Criminal Court, whether they're for the Prime Minister of Israel or Vladimir Putin of Russia. Senator Budd charged in a statement that said the U.S. is not bound by a morally bankrupt court and accused Mamdani's position and comments of not being based in law, but rather means to virtual signal to his radical anti-Israel base. Mayor-elect Mamdani's pledge to facilitate the arrest of the Israel Prime Minister is not just ridiculous, it represents a grave threat that could seriously damage America's relationship with our closest allies and partners. Now, let me just add this much to the conversation. If I was the Israeli Prime Minister, I would, on purpose, go to New York City and get arrested and watch how fast he gets out. And then watch the repercussions of the actions of doing such a dumb stunt. I mean, look, I get political theater. I understand some of these Democrats and Republicans just can't help themselves. They just go out of their way to do political BS. But that's one stunt that will backfire bigger than the city of Dallas, Texas, on his ass. Okay. As I predicted, federal Democrat appointed judge by Bill Clinton threw out the indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and District Attorney Letitia James yesterday, but not for the reasons that I thought. The judge found the indictments were illegal because they were brought by an unqualified U.S. attorney. Judge Cameron Curry dismissed the false statement charges against Comey and bank fraud charges against James without prejudice, meaning the charges could be brought again. I conclude that the Attorney General's attempt to install Miss Lindsay Halligan as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid, and Ms. Halligan has been unlawfully serving in that role since September 22nd of 2025, the judge wrote. But Comey and James are not, I repeat, are not off the hook by any means. The Department of Justice will appeal the decision or attempt to bring charges under a different U.S. attorney. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed, the press secretary for Donald Trump said. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in a very short order. The move to scrap two of the highest profile criminal cases the Department of Justice has leveled against President Donald Trump's political foe comes after the judge voiced skepticism at a recent hearing in Virginia about Halligan's ability to bring the charges as interim U.S. attorney. A Clinton appointee based in South Carolina was brought in from out of state to preside over proceedings about the questioning of Halligan's authority because it presented a conflict for the Virginia judge. Comey and James's challenges to Halligan's appointment were considered because of their similarity. Halligan acted alone in presenting charges to the grand jury shortly after Trump ousted the prior interim U.S. Attorney Eric Sherbert and urged U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to replace him with Halligan, a former White House aide and insurance lawyer. Bondi complied, but Curry found the interim U.S. Attorney team had already expired under Sherbert and that the Virginia judge are now responsible for appointing a temporary U.S. attorney to serve under Trump could get one confirmed in the Senate. Trump has been unable to sway the Senate to confirm several U.S. attorneys in blue states, leading the president and Bondi to sidestep the upper chamber at times and install Trump's preferred appointees, such as what Halligan was. Curry's decision comes after federal judges also disqualified appointments in California, New Jersey, and Nevada. Trump had called on Bondi to act quickly to indict Comey and others. A call that came as the statute of limitations in Comey's case was about to lapse. Halligan, who had no prior prosecutorial experience when she took over one of the most highly profiled federal court districts in the country, delivered for Trump within days. She was the lone lawyer to present the case to a grand jury and sign the indictments. No prosecutors from Virginia joined in on either of the cases. The DOJ has since put its full package or backing behind Halligan. Bondi attempted to ratify and then re-ratify the indictment after the fact, a move Curry suggested would not have been necessary if Halligan were a valid appointee. Department of Justice Attorney Henry Winokur argued during the hearing that the motions to dismiss Comey and James's cases involved, at best, a paperwork error, unworthy of dismissing charges, period. James' attorney, Abel Lowell, said Halligan was a private person when she entered the grand jury room and was completely unauthorized to be there. Curry agreed, saying that retroactively validating Halligan and her actions would be unheard of. The implication of a contrary conclusion or extraordinary, Curry wrote. It would mean the government could send any private citizen off the streets, attorney or not, into a grand jury room to secure an indictment as long as the Attorney General gives her approval after the fact. That cannot be law. Comey praised the judge's decision in a social media post. I am grateful the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malviolence and incompetence and a reflection of what the Justice Department has become under Donald J. Trump, which is heartbreaking, Comey said. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on the victory lap in light of the fact that the Department of Justice is appealing the case. See, if the judge would have said prejudiced, it couldn't be brought again. But the judge didn't do that because the judge was a little smarter and knew that they were playing with political fire here and that it would backfire. So Comey and Letitia James, it's far from over. You two are going to be prosecuted. It's just a matter of time now. The Department of War announced Monday that it has opened a formal review into allegations of misconduct against Democrat senators and Congress members over a video calling on service members to refuse illegal orders. You all remember that, right? These 6 right there, well, there it is, folks, the true faces of what treason looks like. And I went into great detail and I explained this to you last Thursday as to why, well, first off, Trump mislabeled when he talked about what they should be charged with. He meant to say treason. And because treason does carry the death penalty. Now, I want to take a moment and I want to remind everybody before we continue exactly what these senators said.
Ms. Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
You guys gave up the ship already. It's sinking faster than the Titanic. You are 6 babbling, incompetent idiots. And what's surprising is that all but 2 of you served in the United States military and were officers, commissioned officers in the military. You know better than what you did. That you know you shouldn't have done this. The other 2 worked for the CIA, and they knew as well. What you did was you insinuated that Donald Trump is giving out illegal orders without going into what the illegal orders were. That's the funny thing about this. You didn't mention anything about which orders are supposedly illegal in this absolute utter bullshit of what you said. So the lady at the beginning of this entire fiasco went on ABC's This Week and was asked point blank about the orders that supposedly Trump is issuing that are unlawful, that the troops need to not follow. And here's how that went down.
Right now, do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela.
What an utter fool, an idiot, to say the least. Gymnastics going on, dealing with the Venezuela strikes on the drug boats. What gymnastics? They're been labeled as terrorists. Their sole purpose is to come into America with fentanyl and kill Americans. That's why they're labeled as terrorists. And our military does what? We fight and we kill terrorists. She couldn't name a single order that Donald Trump has put out that's unlawful. Now, I didn't take the time to download the other ones, but you can see them. They're all over the freaking internet. Or rather, look it up on YouTube. It doesn't matter. Kelly has been asked the exact same question. All the rest of them, they were all asked the same question. On MSNBC, on ABC, NBC, that none of them, I think, went on Fox News at all, but they went on all the liberal news networks. And they were all asked, what orders are you talking about? Please name what you're talking about. And not one of them was able to point to a single order because it doesn't exist. And last Thursday, I broke down for you exactly why it doesn't exist. And here we have these 6 senators or members of Congress. Some of them aren't senators or congressmen or women. Former military, former CIA officers, insinuating that Donald Trump is issuing unlawful orders and they should disobey them. They weren't educating the troops on unlawful orders because they know, because they've been there, that we start studying the Uniform Code of Military Justice in basic training. In basic training of all branches of the service, you learn about lawful orders and unlawful orders. So who are they directing this at? The point is, they were trying to make a political statement that what Donald Trump is doing, whether it's the Venezuelan strikes against the cartels that have been labeled as terrorists, or our National Guard having to go in and help blue state law enforcement arrest gang members that have been labeled as terrorists, and trying to say that that's an unlawful order. That's what they want you to believe. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. The Pentagon now is doing an investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain. And they're thinking about and looking at all the different aspects of to make sure it's going to be legal to do this, to bring him back on active duty, which you can do. The military can do that if you're retired or if you still have time left on your contract. Some people go in and they do 3 or 4 or 8 years, but their contract, they're obligated for at least 3 or 4 years after that time where they could be called back in the event of national emergencies and things of that nature. Or that particular MOS they had is running short on people and they need to add to the ranks. During Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, for instance, we needed a whole abundance of extra pilots and mechanical personnel and things like that. So they brought in a bunch of people that are already retired and or people that had gotten out honorably that still had time left on their contract in the event of an emergency. So they were all brought back to active duty. So what the Pentagon wants to do is bring him back to active duty because he's the only one out of the 6 that retired from the United States military. Now, if you're retired from the military, and they can't do this if you retired on a medical, they can't do it if you had some type of bad, you got retirement, but you also got a other than honorable discharge in the process. Okay, so there are different things that stop somebody from coming back in. But for somebody like Mark Kelly, who by all practical purposes served his country with honor, he did some great things. He was a fighter pilot. He's a combat pilot, not to mention a NASA astronaut. But somehow, while up in space, he wasn't breathing enough oxygen, and his brain now is not functioning properly to come and do something this damn stupid, along with the rest of them. Knowing damn good and well that the outcome of this is not going to be easy. It's not going to just be blown over by this administration or by us veterans. Some of the biggest talking points right now are the people on social media that are pissed off are us vets that are saying, this is treason. What they did is treason. And I laid that all out last week and last Thursday's show. If you want to go back and check it out, I'm not going to relive it all over again. But if you want to check that out, you can see exactly how it fits in the category of treason. And if you don't want to go down that route, the other categories it fits into that are federal laws that were broken by these six. So the point is, they're looking at bringing him back to active duty, which they can legally do. But for the purpose then, which this is the gray area, of court-martialing him. That's right. Bring him back to active duty. They have full authority to do that. And then make him stand trial under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. This matter will be handled in accordance with military law, ensuring due process and impartiality, the War Department said, adding that further comments will be limited to protect the integrity of the proceedings. Now, allow me to interject something here. Why just Senator Mark Kelly? Congressman Jason Crow, who was in the video, is a former Army captain. Congressman Chris DeLuca is a former Navy lieutenant. Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander in the video is a former Air Force lieutenant. And Congresswoman Christy Houlihan is a former Air Force captain. And of course, Senator Elisa Slotkin is a former CIA officer. The answer is because Senator Mark Kelly is the only official retired service member, and per the UCMJ, any retired military person is subject to recall under the Uniform Code of Justice and Department of Defense regulations. Military personnel are required to obey lawful orders, but also have the duty to disobey orders that are unlawful. These members of Congress, in their little video, led by service members, or that was set up to basically get these service members to believe that the commander-in-chief, aka President Trump, is giving them unlawful orders, is not true. The War Department also underscored the military retirees remain subject to UCMJ and reminded service members that orders are presumed to be lawful and must be obeyed. The department cited federal status, including 18 USC 2387, which we talked about in last Thursday's show, which prohibits attempts to undermine the loyalty, moral, and discipline of U.S. forces. And that's exactly what they did with this video. The Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to UCMJ for applicable offenses. And that is directly from the Department of War. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse the disobedience of an otherwise lawful order. Even though Kelly left active service years ago, the Pentagon could, if it determines his actions violated the code, and I personally believe it does, and so do all of my brothers and sisters, that with the exception of those that are liberal Democrats, and whether or not to bring him before a full military court-martial. Such recalls are rare and typically reserved for serious criminal conduct, such as espionage, sexual assault, or fraud. Still, precedents exist. United States versus Dinger, 2018, and United States versus LaBear, 2020, military appellate courts reaffirmed that retirees receiving pay remain under the UCMJ jurisdiction and can be tried for offenses committed after they officially retired from the military. If the review concludes that Kelly's comments constitute conduct to the prejudice of good order and discipline or a violation of U.S. code, which prohibits encouraging disloyalty or insubordination among armed forces, which is what they did, he could face recall to active duty for the formal court-martial. Punishments under those statutes can include forfeiture of pay, confinement, or dismissal from services, though such outcomes are extraordinarily rare for political figures. So that's another key we're going to have to look at here. Any proceedings would likely provoke a constitutional showdown, or rather speech made by a political context can be subject to military law, even by a retired officer. Let me just tell you that I have read deep into this. They're screwed. Oh, yes, it can be. While many lawmakers have served in the armed forces, and several remain in the reserves while in office, there's no historical record of a sitting U.S. senator or congressperson being recalled to active duty for discipline action. So this will be a first. But it's in writing that it can be done. Last week, Kelly and the 5 other Democrats, members of Congress, posted that video directing its service members and making it clear to them that they're former officers in the military, or in the other 2 cases, CIA officers. So they must know better, right? Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. For the other Democrats are former military, but not retired, and therefore not subject to UCMJ. According to Secretary Department of War, Pete Heska, Secretary of Defense, another Senator Alicia Stockland is a former CIA officer. The Department of War is reviewing the statement and actions which were addressed directly to all troops while explicitly using their rank and service affiliation, leaving the appearance of authority to their words. Kelly's conduct brings discredit upon the armed forces and will be addressed appropriately, according to the Department of War. In response to the video, President Trump said the lawmakers should be arrested and tried for seditious behavior. But then he said seditious behavior is punishable by death. And that's the only thing Donald Trump got wrong in this, because it isn't. They're subject to go to prison for a long time if that's what you want to charge them under. Treason is subject to death. Now, personally, as I broke it down last Thursday, there's many ways you can hang these guys. Whether it's the death penalty, or by charging them with treason, or seditious behavior. My guess is it will be seditious behavior. Kelly then accused Trump of trying to intimidate us and adding, "I'm not going to be intimidated." Kelly, you are absolute disgrace, not only to Congress, but our military and the uniform you once wore, for participating in something like this. What an utter idiot. I can only assume that while you were up there in space. Somehow you didn't get the proper oxygen levels you needed to breathe properly and function your brain. Because I can't imagine anyone, whether they are a commissioned officer or a non-commissioned officer, doing what you idiots did in this video. I can't imagine that. You had to have known that you were lying and what the outcome was going to be, and that it wasn't going to be in your favor. It all goes back to, we're going to throw everything at the wall we possibly can to bring down Donald Trump. That's what this amounts to. Going back to his first term as president, and even right now. Nothing the Democrats have done has worked. Nor is it going to work. All you're doing is you went from digging a hole for yourselves with a spoon to a shovel, and now you're using a backhoe. And that is batshit crazy. And of course, we saw what Senator Elisa Stockman was asked point blank, and she could not point to a single order. Same thing was done by Kelly and the rest of them. Check it out. It's all over social media. You can see the videos yourself of them being asked point blank, which orders are you talking about? You just left it open. And they don't need to be reminded of lawful and unlawful orders because they were taught that in basic training. They all know that. So you're insinuating that Donald Trump is issuing unlawful orders. And that is your downfall. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more while we're on the subject of veterans and the military. And if you, sorry, my dog is going to bark because my wife is now coming home from buying turkeys and stuff, I guess. And make sure any veterans in your family or veteran friends that served in the Gulf Wars, that were exposed to, whether it was sarin nerve gas like myself and thousands of other veterans, or burn pits like we were, that they're up to speed on what I'm going to share with you here. Congress, in a bipartisan act, wants the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, you ready for this? To stop keeping veterans in the dark about which toxic exposure illnesses the federal agency is quietly studying behind closed doors. U.S. Senate Veterans Affairs Committee ranking member Richard Blumenthal introduced the Presumptive Clear Legal Assessment and Review of Illness from Toxic Exposure Act in early November. If passed, it would require the VA to establish a public website to educate veterans exposed to toxins on processes the agency issues to determine which conditions or corroborated with military toxic exposures. The website would theoretically be updated if the VA adds or removes exposures or conditions that provide veterans input if such a website currently doesn't exist. The measure guarantees essential information to veterans suffering from toxic exposure-related illnesses. The statement said they need and deserve to know whether their specific condition qualifies for PACT Act presumption care and benefits. This is especially critical as the VA is reportedly rolling back coverage of conditions without scientific evidence. Some lawmakers say the change would end years of silence from the agencies accused of operating behind closed doors and give veterans clarity on discussions that shape their health care and disability benefits. Congress is trying to pull back the curtain on how the VA handles toxic exposure illnesses after years of veterans saying they cannot get straight answers about the conditions that they're having and what's under review or not under review. Advocacy and research groups said the bill could provide clarity for veterans struggling with illnesses tied to burn pits, chemical exposure, contaminated water, hazardous waste, and PFAS, the latter of which is shorthand for per and polyformylactase substances that are man-made and routinely called forever chemicals, leading to negative health effects. And it's very important that this happens soon because we have hundreds and hundreds of veterans every year dying from these exposures to the burn pits as well as chemical weapons they were exposed to. In my case, in fact, my entire unit's case, and many other units. I was at KKMC when it happened, which is very close to the Iraq-Kuwait border. And what they did, the war had ended, and our military, in their ultimate wisdom, decided, whoever up there made this decision in the chain of command, that all of the chemical weapons that were located at different Scud launch facilities that weren't used, and we know now, history shows us why they weren't used, and that's because we basically told Saddam Hussein that the first time chemical weapons are launched at our forces, we're going to tactically nuke Baghdad. So they didn't. They launched empty Scud missiles at us. And of course, people died if they hit buildings. And, one in Riyadh, a barracks full of American service members was hit and killed. But they had all the chemical ammunition there to load in the Scuds. They chose not to. So after the war ended, they went around, they collected all of these canisters of all these chemical weapons. Most of it was sarin nerve gas, which would have really fucked us up. And thousands of these freaking rounds of this shit. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of this stuff in big canisters. And they dug a gigantic freaking pit in Kuwait. And they put them all in there. And they primed it with explosives. And then they pushed the button and blew them all up. Well, that's great. Except they did it on a very windy day when the wind was blowing right into Saudi Arabia, right into American forces. So we didn't need Saddam to hit us with chemical warfare. Our own military hit us with chemical warfare by blowing up that shit on a windy day. And the rest is history. Some of us are dead now. Many of us are suffering from different cancers and ailments because of this exposure, not to mention the burn pits. So with veterans rapidly dying, they need to unravel this and let us know. If you go back and you look at Agent Orange, for instance, the veterans knew they were exposed to Agent Orange. The veterans knew, this is in Vietnam, they knew, and Agent Orange, if you don't know, Agent Orange was a chemical designed to kill off mosquitoes. And in Vietnam, the troops were just being eaten alive in the jungles by mosquitoes. So this chemical was designed to spray over the jungle via airplane at low altitudes, just like a crop duster, for instance, and spray this Agent Orange over the jungles to kill off mosquitoes. Except the troops are in the jungle and they're breathing it and they're getting on their skin. And it went on to cause cancers and kill thousands thousands of veterans, not just the ones that were in the jungles that got sprayed with it, but the ones in the Air Force and the Navy that were operating the aircraft and handling this stuff to put it on the aircraft, you know, getting exposed to it, spilling on them and things like that. So for years, the VA knew, our government knew that Agent Orange was responsible for killing off a lot of these Vietnam vets. And they hid that from them for years. Years. They had no clue that it was being hidden. And then finally, it came out, they admitted it. Yes, Agent Orange is what's causing you all to die. We screwed up, and now those vets ended up being able, the ones that were still alive, and their family members apply for compensation. Same thing happened in this case. For years, we knew, the veterans knew that were exposed to sarin nerve gas, what happened to us. We knew about the burn pits, but the VA was hiding it. The government, our government, was not telling us the truth about how this happened and what happened. And thanks to a lot of veteran advocates that would not let it go and pushing to get things released from our government through the Freedom of Information Act, and thanks to numerous CIA officials that came out and were basically whistleblowers. Some of them actually wrote books about it. We now know what happened. And now the VA has finally admitted that, yes, these are causing certain types of cancers. But the problem with what's happening right now and what this was all about is that there are many different illnesses that are connected to this. The VA is trying to hide and not let it out there yet because, oh, it'd be millions and millions of more dollars having to be paid out. Let's save the government money and hold off as long as we possibly can. So my hat's off to the Democrat members of Congress and Republican members that are pushing for this because we deserve it. We signed up, raised our hand under the promise that when we came back from war, our government would take care of us, not lie to us, and not make us have to go back to war again against our own government to get the benefits that we're due. So we see where this goes. I hope that it goes in the right direction for all of our U.S. military veterans. One of the loudest anti-Trump, anti-Republican, and anti-MAGA talking heads is speaking out yet again. But this time with a slightly different tune, more in line with what I've been sitting here saying for years. As a former Democrat, Senator Cory Booker, add to the stage, offered some candid criticism of the Democrat Party during an interview with New York Times opinion publisher yesterday, arguing that the party has failed and made terrible mistakes. Booker told the Times' David Lehart that a new generation of Democrat leaders was taking the helm, expressing optimism for the party as he pushed for a difficult conversation. And in the Democrat Party, I want to have a very tough conversation. I want it to be competition of ideas about how our party is going to look like, what it's going to look like. I'm one of those people who says our party has failed. They made terrible mistakes. I want us to emerge in this moment, not focus on party, but refocus on the people, he said. Booker explained that his grandfather was a Democrat during the Franklin Roosevelt era and said he worked to turn several districts in Detroit, Michigan, blue. The senator attributed the party's success at the time to FDR's clear vision that this was going to be the nation where working people would have dignity at work, would be able to afford a home, would be able to afford to raise their children and give them a better life. The Democrat senator said FDR delivered on those things, that then spoke about his father, who said came to Washington, D.C. because of the civil rights movement, telling the Times blacks and whites, Christians and Jews in this town were forcing corporations to hire qualified blacks. Booker said his father became a top salesman at IBM and argued if you create a fair playing field, people get on that field and compete. Booker argued the Democrat Party of his generation failed to put Americans in a position to set the next generation up for even greater success. I've been telling you that all along. That son of a bitch right there, who's been screaming his ass off about how great the Democrat Party is and how horrible the Republican Party is finally admitting, just like I did as a former Democrat, that the party of yesterday is long gone. It's over with. I grew up as a JFK Democrat. It's gone. Now it's being taken over by radical, socialist, communist, and as we will talk about shortly, Muslims. So, thank you, Cory Booker, for having the, I guess, integrity to call out the party and side with people like me, a former Democrat who's been saying this for a long time. But sadly, you seem to think that the new generation of Democrats, the up-and-comers that are in the leadership positions now, moving into Congress, are going to be the future of the party and help save the party and take it back from Republicans. The Jasmine Crockett's, the AOCs, the Rashida Tlaibs, the Ali Halamars. That's where you really are sucking air to try and survive, because not happening. The American people are not going to buy it for a split second. Far left liberals will. Those Democrats that aren't paying attention to what people like me are saying will. But thankfully, now with enough exposure from people like me, many others across social media, about the true Democrat Party, as in the leaders in Washington, D.C. Today, more people are leaving the Democrat Party to either become a Republican or an independent than ever in the history of the party. And today, more people are becoming Republicans than ever in the entire history of the party. And that is a good thing. And that proves my point. The Democrat Party of yesterday is gone, and there's no hope for its future when they are putting the future, instead of on getting rid of Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and Chuck Schumer, the old guard, and bringing in these young, far left liberal, socialist, communist, and in many cases now, radical Islamic Muslims. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. All you're doing is going from stepping in shit with one foot to stepping in a bear trap with the other. And it ain't going to be in your favor. Trust me. When midterms rolls around, I will have proved my point again, just like I did with this last election. And the liberals and the Democrats said, there's no way in hell we're going to take this over. We're going to have the Senate. We're going to have the House. Kamala Harris is going to be the first female president. Republicans are going down. It's going to be a landslide. I said, no, it's not. I'm watching the pulse of the American people. And you're wrong. And of course, now those same Democrats and liberals are saying, oh, wait till midterms. We're going to show you. I can't wait for midterms to get here. During last Thursday's show, I talked in length, and I got pretty heated and hot about it, about the problems we're facing in America with a Muslim takeover. I mentioned the problem with the Muslim Brotherhood organization here in America, the Muslim refugees brought in by Obama and Biden, which is how we ended up with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, the new mayors of American cities that are Muslim, and even showed you videos of Muslim leaders in mosques right here in America, aka imams, calling for the takeover of America. And videos of thousands of Muslims taking to the streets in New York City and Dearborn, Michigan, chanting death to America and calling for jihad. Jihad is a call to violent holy war against anyone they consider an enemy. Their enemy is Christians, Jews, and any non-Muslim. Well, as if Trump or someone in his administration was watching last Thursday night's Douglas Ducote Show, President Trump called for the U.S. to weigh labeling the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. He gave Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent 30 days to submit a report and 45 days to take action after that report. The order claimed countries that have Muslim Brotherhood affiliations, such as ours, engage in or facilitated and support violence and destabilizing the country. It accused the military wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, Lebanese chapter, of helping launch rockets at Israel on the terrorist attack of October 7th, 2023, and alleged a leader of the Egyptian chapter encouraged violent attacks against U.S. partners after the October 7th attack. The White House also said members of the Jordanian chapter have long provided material support to the militant wing of Hamas, itself a Muslim Brotherhood offshoot and a U.S. designated foreign terrorist organization. If the groups are designated as foreign terrorist organizations, it will become illegal under U.S. law to knowingly provide funding or other material support to them. Cut them off at the head, just like you would a rattlesnake, and be done with it. Designation can only lead to travel bans against members or the freezing of funds held in U.S. banks. Funded in Egypt almost a century ago, Muslim Brotherhood has influenced political movement in much of the Middle East, but now also in Europe, Canada, and right here in America. The leader of a Muslim Brotherhood affiliation political party, Mohamed Morsi, was elected president of Egypt in 2012 after the fall of dictator Hassan Murabek. Though Morsi was ousted by the military in the following years, some Brotherhood leaders in Egypt and elsewhere have renounced violence, which is a good thing. But the group has long been controversial, with critics, including U.S. allies, saying some affiliated groups have engaged in violence and extremist views. Egypt's military government formally banned the Muslim Brotherhood in 2013. Good for you guys. And Jordan banned the group earlier this year. Good job, Jordan. President Trump is confronting the Muslim Brotherhood, their network, which fuels terrorism and destabilizes campaigns against U.S. interests and allies and in the Middle East. White House said in a fact sheet yesterday, President Trump order comes about a week after Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared that the Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. So the state of Texas now is labeled at that. The president used the executive power to designate groups as terrorist organizations. The administration labeled several Latin American drug cartels as former terrorist groups earlier this year, and recently applied the designation to Venezuelan cartels. As the administration puts more pressure on the Venezuelan government and their president, some analysts say it's not a centralized drug cartel in the central sense, but it is instead a loosely defined network of government officials accused of links to organized crime and drug trafficking, designating Antifa as a terrorist organization as well. Also, during last Thursday night show, I talked about the major problem we are faced here in America with the Somalian Muslim refugee problem, which is solely responsible for Ali Omar infiltrating our Congress. They were placed and proposed in certain areas in large amounts to sway elections in the favor of Muslims. Obama and Biden are guilty parties that did this, and they gave them protective status from being deported. Well, after last Thursday night show, lo and behold, after I talked about that, if President Trump didn't come along and remove that protective status. Now, I'm not saying that anybody in the Trump administration watches what Douglas Ducote puts out. I'm just saying it is pretty freaking weird that I went on this rant calling out Trump and calling out the FBI and calling the Department of Justice and showed these videos of what's happening right here in America. And by Sunday, they did exactly what I said needed to be done. So I'd like to remind everybody of exactly what I showed you with these imams in mosque here in America, as well as on the streets of New York City.
You're going to be the president of the United States of America. No one, koi Michael Ali, who can stop you from becoming a president. Dream big, have a vision. Because if Barack Hussein Obama can be a president, Sohaib Jawad cannot be a president? Tell me. He's going to be a president. He's talking about that the Muslims will take over Mecca. They used to laugh at him. What happened? What is Mecca now? What is Mecca? It's coming. Change is coming to America. And what is Allah telling us? Kuntum khayra ummatin. You are the best of nations. You're better than everybody else. That's what Allah is saying. Let's work towards that. Let's work towards a Muslim mayor. Next election that comes in, nominate people for the School Board of Education.
And let me remind you, they elected a Muslim mayor for Dearborn, Michigan, and now New York City.
Election that comes here, nominate people for the local township. Begin the demographics change.
Let me remind you, that's already happening. They're electing Muslims in school boards and elected officials in blue states.
People converted. There's a big, huge conversion going on in this country. Where are the converts? They just convert and they're gone in the wilderness. The other thing, children. Muslims have the highest population. Average, they did a Pew Foundation did a research study, Pew Foundation, and they said that Muslim household average is 3.4 child per family. The white American has 1 child per family. We're already beating the march because these are voters. These are not just babies being born in hospitals. These are voters. That's the way a politician looks at it. We have to change the framework and start looking at things from a different lens, different angle for future. You're not going to change society today in your lifetime, but you think about your
We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be a part of, Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home. So I want you to repeat after me. I want to hear it in every single district. It should tremble. Brooklyn should hear it. The Bronx should hear it. Queens should hear it. Say it as if the Ummah depends on this, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadan Rasulullah. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah, the God of Jesus, the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, and the God of the last and final prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The shooter has finally been caught and identified and is under police custody.
I really hope he's not
The shooter
Muslim.
has been identified as 22-year-old white male Tyler Robinson.
Oh, thank goodness.
I was so worried.
The shooter, however, did convert to Islam just yesterday and changed his name to Abdulrahman Ahmed Muhammad Allahu Akbar Ali Omar Yusuf Hamza Saeed Osama Obama Shawarma Homos Saeed Ibn Abdu bin Ibn Abu bin Bing Bong Bazooka Boom Boom.
Of course, that last part was satire, but that's happening right here in America. In mosque, streets of Dearborn, Michigan, streets of New York City, openly saying, we're going to take over America. You're going to convert to Islam, or you'll pay a tax, or we will kill you. That's their movement. And finally, action is going to be taken to stop this silly, crazy shit. Okay. Now, I promised you at the beginning of tonight's show that I had something special for you for the ending, which is about Thanksgiving coming up. And our U.S. forces wanting to give a shout out to their family and friends and tell you what they're thankful for. And we're about to share that. But first, I wanted to, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I wanted to share with you a few facts about Thanksgiving that you may not know. Some of this was surprising to me. I'll be honest with you. And I know I'm going to get the pronunciation of this wrong. My wife told me, look it up, see where somebody's talking about it so you can get it correct. But I didn't do that. So I'm going to spell it for you, all right? Anyhow, the first Thanksgiving wasn't called Thanksgiving. It was 1621, and it was called and I'm going to pronounce this tribe, or spell it, Wampanoag, Pilgrim Harvest Gathering. It was 3 days long. It included about 90 of these people. They were warriors, and only about 50 surviving colonists. The word Thanksgiving wasn't involved at all. The first official Thanksgiving actually happened 2 years later in 1623. It had nothing to do with a feast. It was a religious day of fasting and prayer for rain because we were in a drought in America. Turkeys were never on the menu, but venison, deer, duck, geese, fish such as cod and bass, shellfish, and corn mush were the meal. Pumpkin was also included, but not pumpkin pie. Why? Because ovens weren't invented yet. There was no such thing as butter, and they didn't have access to wheat or flour. The idea of turkey becoming the centerpiece only took off in the 1800s, thanks to, in part, to writers like Sarah Josephine Hale, who basically marketed the holiday into what we know it is today. Thanksgiving as a holiday was a political move by Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln declared Thanksgiving a national holiday in 1863 during the Civil War. It was a deliberate attempt to boost morale, create unity, and reinforce national identity. Before that, each state celebrated on different days or not at all. FDR, after becoming president, changed the date of Thanksgiving, but it backfired. In 1939, President Roosevelt moved Thanksgiving 1 week earlier to help retailers boost holiday shopping during the Great Depression. But the result, 23 states obeyed the change, 22 refused, and 3 celebrated both dates. The nation was also confused that Congress had to step in and set the final Thursday in November as the permanent date in 1941. Pilgrims, aka surviving colonists, did not wear black clothes and buckled hats. They actually wore clothing of color, red, blue, green, and yellow. And those buckled hats, pure myth, added by 1800 illustrators. Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey as the national bird, told by many was nothing more than another myth. He joked about it privately in a letter to his daughter, saying that the bald eagle had bad moral character. but he never formally proposed the turkey as a national symbol. Forks weren't used during the first Thanksgiving either. Forks didn't become common in the colonies until decades later. The first Thanksgiving was eaten mostly with spoons, knives, and fingers, which honestly is how many of us eat turkey today. Turkey leg, for instance. The Mayflower didn't land where it was supposed to, as we're told in our history books. The Pilgrims were headed to Virginia, not Massachusetts, but storms and navigation errors pushed them north. They wrote the Mayfair Compact partly because they were outside of the territory where the charter applied. Thanksgiving was not always a happy holiday. For Native Americans, especially the Wampanoags, the holiday symbolizes the beginning of land loss, disease brought by Europeans, and cultural devastation. Since 1970, many Native groups observed the day as a day of mourning, especially in Plymouth. The first Macy's Day Parade had real animals from the zoo, not giant balloons. Macy's used lions, bears, camels, and elephants that they got from the Central Park Zoo. Balloons did not appear in the Macy's Day Parade until 1927. Today, Americans eat approximately 50 million pumpkin pies on Thanksgiving Day. But there's one state that eats the most, and they're the state that produces 80% of our pumpkins. And that happens to be Illinois. They are the biggest pumpkin pie production state. The Pilgrims didn't come for religious freedom the way it's told. They had religious freedom in the Netherlands already. They left Europe mainly because they disliked the Dutch culture and they feared their children were becoming too Dutch. So it was more about cultural preservation than escaping persecution. And finally, while serving in the first Gulf War, Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, on Thanksgiving Day, November 27th, 1990, me and my unit were not served an MRE, which is what we ate throughout the conflict. We were served a meal that consisted of turkey, green beans, sweet potatoes, cornbread, a Pepsi that actually had Arabic writing on it, and I still have it today on a shelf over here, and a small box of apple juice. And that meal at that moment in our lives was a true blessing that we were beyond thankful for. It's the small things in life that sometimes make the bigger impressions on our lives. And you can see that picture on my Facebook profile under the album Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. It's open to the public, and you can scroll down and you can find that picture. I will also, every year, I put it in the community section on my YouTube channel and also on a main post on my social media platforms. Just a reminder of what this little plate of very little amount of food meant to us serving in a foreign country while our families were back home wondering if we were going to survive. And as always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. Please say an extra prayer this Thanksgiving for all of them that can't be home with their families. We are blessed today as a nation because of our brave men and women in the military, as well as law enforcement and first responders, and our doctors and our nurses, and all those that are out there that have to work on Thanksgiving so that we can be safe. If something does break of major importance between now and next Tuesday's show, I'll either do a video about it or I'll come on and do a live broadcast about it. But until then, if not, I hope you all have a wonderful, happy, and blessed Thanksgiving. And remember, without those that sacrificed for our country, we would not be having it. It wouldn't be possible. And with that, I give you our United States military veterans of the Air Force, the Army, the Marines, and the Navy, giving a shout out to you and their families for this Thanksgiving. Thank you, and God bless.
Hello everyone, I'm MC2 Lund, and welcome to a special holiday episode of your weekly All Hands Update. Let's make this holiday season one to remember for all the right reasons. Stay safe and enjoy Thanksgiving with your family. This season, let's take a moment to reach out to someone who may be deployed, to think about the connections we've made and the love we share. Whether you celebrate with a quiet night in, a big family gathering, or a trip across the country, this time of year is about coming together. It's about sharing joy, making memories, and showing gratitude for the people we cherish most. Take the opportunity to spend time with the people you love most, whether that's your friends, your family, or the people in your department. During this time, we here at All Hands Update would like to wish you happy holidays and remind you to stay safe wherever you happen to be across the globe.
Thankful for my family and my career and my co-workers. I'm thankful for my work kids and my real kids. That's what I'm thankful for.
I'm thankful for my wife, my beautiful daughter, the opportunity the Navy has given me to provide for them.
I am thankful for my family and that everyone is safe and healthy this time of year.
Thankful for my chief here. Chief, take it away.
Well, I'm thankful for my guys and my family at home, and I can't wait to get home to them.
Until next time, I'm MC2 Lund, and this has been another episode of your All Hands Update.
Hi, this is Airman First Class Charles Howard, currently deployed to the Middle East. I'd like to say hi to my mom and dad and the rest of my family and friends back home in Trenton, Michigan. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Hello, this is Airman First Class Nathaniel Gadula, deployed to the Middle East. I'd like to say hi to my girlfriend back at home, my family as well, back in Las Vegas, Nevada. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hi guys, this is Staff Sergeant Diana Baliatico. I'm deployed to the Middle East. I just wanted to say hi to everybody at home, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and my boyfriend Corey, Jackson, New Jersey. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Hello, this is Tech Sergeant Joshua Johnson, deployed to the Middle East. I'd like to say hello to my son back home in Fairborn, Ohio. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hi, this is Airman First Class Tate Palmer, deployed to the Middle East. I would like to say hello to my girlfriend, my mom and my dad, and my brother back home in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I love you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Sergeant Anthony Davis. I'm from ACO 526 LSB. What I'm thankful for is my family and friends back home. I just wanted to say hi to my mom and dad back home.
Hi, America. This is Master Sergeant Brandon Jennings, deployed with the 130th Field Artillery Brigade in Camp Arab John, Kuwait. Wishing happy Thanksgiving to my family and friends back home.
Alright, Sergeant Major Jennifer Lord with the 3rd Combat Aviation Brigade here in Yukon on deployment. Shout out to my family in Savannah, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Specialist Burns, and I'm on a Yukon rotation with 3rd Combat Aviation Brigade. Shout out to my family in South Carolina.
My name is Staff Sergeant Harold. I'm here with HHBN 3ID G1. I'm currently deployed in Poland. I just want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to my daughter, Addison.
Hey y'all, this is Staff Sergeant Jordan Scott, deployed to the Middle East. Just wanted to say hi to my wife and my daughters back home in San Antonio, Texas. Happy Thanksgiving.
Specialist Matson from Slidell, Louisiana. Huge shout out to my wife and my son. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope to be home soon. Dish I'm missing the most is oyster stew.
Hey, Sergeant First Class Brandon Gravois from Westwego, Louisiana. Shout out to my family, missing them, and also missing Gumbo.
Bach family, Command Sergeant Major Penny and I wish you and your family a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. Whether you'll be at home or traveling, cooking for a crowd, joining friends and family, watching football, or enjoying some solitude, please look around and find the small things in life to be grateful for. Also, please take a moment to remember our colleagues who are serving others over the Thanksgiving holiday, whether on duty, providing emergency medical care, or keeping our installation safe, but also those who are stationed far from home. These quiet heroes deserve our gratitude and support. We are wishing everyone, our medical professionals, our service members, retirees, and supporting community members, a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving from the 104th Fighter. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving from Ops.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's gonna be like Merry Christmas.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy holidays from the 104 Services team.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3.
Happy Thanksgiving from 104 Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving from
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving from me.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving from the 104th Maintenance Group. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving from that group.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Agenda.
Happy Thanksgiving from your friends in LRS. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving from the 104th Public Affairs. Thank you for all your support. We appreciate you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hello, my name is Specialist Christopher Elijah Flack. I am currently serving in Camp Casey, South Korea. I am born and raised Cincinnati, Ohio. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Want to shout out the Flacks, especially Robert Flack.
Okay. Hi, I'm CW2 Tara K. Schneider, and I just want to give a shout out to my family, my dad and Darcy in Rhode Island, my kids in Tennessee, and my mom and stepdad in Kansas. Go Dolphins!
Hey guys, my name is Specialist Isaiah Weber. I'm out here in Lithuania. Prapade, I'm with 182 FA. Just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to my wife and kids. I miss you guys so much. Marbella, Isaac, Isabella, I hope to see you guys soon.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Smith. I'm here stationed at Camp Casey, Korea. I would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and also to wish my baby girl a happy Thanksgiving.
Hi there, I'm Staff Sergeant Anthony Mitchell. I'm a medic in 182 FA Battalion, currently in Camp Taurus, Lithuania. I'd like to wish my wife and kids a happy Thanksgiving.
Hello, I'm Staff Sergeant Kevin Stray. I'm from Kent, Washington, and I'm currently stationed in Kuwait. I'd like to wish my family who's back home in Seattle, Washington, and all across Western Washington a happy holiday, happy Thanksgiving, and a happy New Year. Miss you guys.
Hello, my name is Adrian 3 Mowbray. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I work in medical. I just want to say to everybody in my family, and of course everybody after that, a happy Thanksgiving. I love you and I miss you, Mom, Dad, my brother, my sister.
Hi everybody, I'm CS2 Bowens. I'm on the USS Gerald R. Ford, and I just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I am thankful for this year, my family, God, and my friends. Thank you.
Hi, I'm HMC King. I'm from South Boston, Virginia. I just want to give a shout out to my son, my baby boy, RJ. I love you. I miss you. I hope you're playing with so many dinosaurs. Shout out to my mom and my aunt. I love you guys, and happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, this is Specialist Downey over in Slovakia. I just want to wish my family and friends happy Thanksgiving over in Lexington, South Carolina.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Marty Walgamuth, the commander of Area Support Group Kuwait. From all of us here at Camp Arifjan and Camp Buring, we want to wish everyone back home a very happy Thanksgiving holiday.
And I'm Command Sergeant Major Black, and I want to wish all our friends and family back home a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving!